Back to LeBron on Pat McAfee. And LeBron unpacked a lot of things. He was on for over an hour. Now, let me take care of sort of the ancillary stuff, because this is what happened, certainly in my line of work. Oh, I would have asked him. Oh, if he comes on this show, I'm going to. Okay, he's not coming on your show. He's not coming on this show. Maybe McAfee paid him. Pat has certainly done well by paying his guest, and he's gotten, the publicity back tenfold. But I don't know. LeBron was in Indy. Pat's show was in Indianapolis. I don't know if he said to him, look, I'll give you $1 million. Come in, spend an hour. I was at a concert one time for DirecTV. Justin Timberlake performed. I think they wrote him a check for $1 million. Hey, play for an hour. I mean, that's really what happened yesterday. And Mac has written checks before. Maybe he just said to LeBron, come on in, sit down, pay you $1 million. I don't know if he did or didn't, and the other people, the other host who were saying, oh, I would have asked. This is who Pat McAfee is. Pat's not trying to be Mike Wallace. He's not trying to be me. He's not trying to be Bob Lee or Jeremy Schaap. He's just a guy who's having a good time, making a boatload of money and a lot of headlines. That's all. Had the offer. LeBron took him up on it, and he had an opportunity to sit down and just let him go. And really, McAfee didn't have to ask many questions because it felt like LeBron had things he wanted to get off his chest. Now, he got a lot of things off his chest, but I think he might look back on this and say he got a little loose, especially when he said the draft was possibly rigged when he went to the Cavaliers.
Listen, man, during the lottery drop, Cleveland got the number 1 pick. I just don't think that was. What a coincidence!
Don't you think?
Wemby with the Spurs.
Oh my God! Let's keep LeBron home. You know what? Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. Derrick Rose to the Bulls. Right? I understand the assignment, guys. I had to make sure that, I had to do my part.
When you start to look at it, was it rigged? It wasn't rigged. And thank God David Stern is not with us any longer, because even though he wouldn't be the commissioner, the acting commissioner. Now, Adam Silver's now involved in this. Now you brought him in on this. Now all of a sudden we bring back Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. Now we brought in Derrick Rose to Chicago. I don't know. Did they rig it so Victor Wembanyama would go to San Antonio?
I didn't understand that one. Somebody went Wemby to San Antonio, and the thing why? What? How is that? Like, if this was a SAT test and they said which of these is not like the others, LeBron to Cleveland, Derrick Rose to Chicago, or Victor Wembanyama to San Antonio, that would be the answer.
Yes, Paulie.
When I heard LeBron say it, I first read that he said it, and then I heard it, and he doesn't appear to be kidding. Maybe a light poke or something like that, but it does seem a little odd, the coincidence that Ewing goes to the Knicks, LeBron stays home, and Derrick Rose stays home. It seems a bit coincidental, overly coincidental. And I think that's what LeBron was poking at. But
do you think the other owners would be in line with this, in lockstep, and go, we're fine with this?
They wouldn't have a choice in the matter. I would never, if I were fixing the NBA, I would never alert the owners that I was doing. I'd do it for the best league. I went back and looked at the 2003 NBA draft lottery.
Okay.
The Cavaliers had a 22.5% chance. That's tied with the Nuggets for the highest chance to win the lottery. This is back when the lottery was very much weighted toward the top 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah.
So they were not a surprise team in any way.
Cleveland tanked. I mean, that's the one thing that happened. They tanked to get LeBron James. Do I think that it's fixed? No, I do not. Do I think it would make sense? Like if you wanted to send LeBron and you wanted to send him to New York at the time. I mean, the Knicks were in the lottery. So, yes, he got to stay in Cleveland, but Cleveland made sure they had the best odds to be able to get him. Yes, Eden.
And you know what? If you didn't send LeBron to New York and the Knicks, why didn't you rig it so Carmelo went there? Instead, he went to Denver to send him over to...
Yeah. I think LeBron is passive-aggressive. I don't think he was kidding. I think there were a lot of things he wanted to get off his chest. He wanted to get off his chest about the run-in with Stephen A. Smith. He took a shot at Brian Windhorst, which I didn't think that was fair. It was just like he was unplugged, which was great for Pat McAfee's show. You got him, and you just let him go. And Pat's not necessarily calling you in. You know, with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers would say a lot of things. Pat's just letting you go. Yes, Marvin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's so much passive aggressive anymore. It just seems I'm saying whatever I want now. So it's not even like I'm like hinting at this, like him going at Stephen A., him going at Brian Windhorst. Like it wasn't. I'm insinuating these names. No, I'm saying these names. Like, oh, this reporter that's reported on me. No, Brian Windhorst thinks he's my friend. He's not my friend. I think 10 years ago, passive aggressive is for sure.
But why now is he saying this about Brian Windhorst?
Because he's wealthy.
LeBron's wealthy?
This feels like
He's been wealthy.
And I don't care anymore. He's like, I'm in my 40s now.
I don't. And then he, the media and how they treated his son, and it just felt, I don't know, it was odd. It just was. Because he normally does a pretty good job. He's handled a lot of things brilliantly. But I don't know if it was an oh, woe is me, or I don't know. Just a strange feel that I got. And then all of a sudden he decides he's going to talk about how the players of today could play against the players of the 60s and 70s.
The game is different, and we should respect all eras in that era. We can't be saying, okay, just because Wilt was great in the 60s and 70s, that he'll be great now. And we also can't say that some of the guys now will be great. It is what it is. Respect that era, and we move on. But every single day that he's better, he's not better, he wouldn't. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
Handshake, he wouldn't be able to do it.
Giannis,
neither would you. Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s.
Okay. See, now you just disrespected Kareem and Dr. J and all the players who played in the 70s. I mean, why? Giannis would not be Giannis. If he was playing in the 70s, he'd be playing with his back to the basket. I mean, it wouldn't be shooting three. He wouldn't be who he is. He wouldn't develop the way he's developed. I mean, the rules back then, how you played back then. Is he getting 250? Well, Kareem didn't get 250. Are you telling me that Giannis would have been better than Kareem back in the 70s? And the answer is no. But I don't know why. Nobody said Giannis couldn't play back in the 70s. He would have played differently. LeBron would dominate in the 70s. He would be a different player. Yes, he would be great. I mean, how would Larry Bird be today? He might be even better. He'd shoot more threes. Can't put your hand on him. I mean, he's 6'9", out there, leading the break for it gets to be silly sometimes. Yes, Eden.
It seemed, though, like LeBron's point was comparing eras is stupid, and we should stop doing it.
I agree with that, but what did he just do? He said Giannis would score 250 points in the 70s in a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he seemed to be joking about, I don't think he literally meant he would score 250 points. I think he was joking.
I think he's saying that he would dominate. Now, the 250.
He would dominate.
Yeah.
He would dominate, though.
No, he would be a completely different player. The evolution of the basketball player has brought Giannis to us in this form. Back then, he would be a center with his back to the basket.
You don't think he could play like that?
No, he's not that kind of guy. He's a perimeter. He beats you off the dribble. I mean, he's a guy who shoots, threes. I mean, Joker back in the 70s would have been a back to the basket, and he would have been able to play the way he does now.
It seems to me, though, like it's like an odd thing that we do is we have these super athletic guys, right? Super athletic right now, where they're doing this stuff, right? He's beating you off the dribble. He's doing all that stuff. But if you strip the game down and make it a little more basic and simple, he would fall apart. He wouldn't be able to play like that.
No, it's not that.
How?
No, he wouldn't be given the opportunity. He wouldn't handle the ball. He wouldn't be on the perimeter. Coach would say, get down on the blocks. Right. He might be this it's like Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. All he does is block shots, rebounds. He gets to the Knicks. He doesn't block shots and rebounds. He shoots mid-range jumpers. He got the opportunity to do that. John Thompson had him as an old-fashioned center. Ewing brought the new center into the game or helped usher that in. Yes.
But if we're saying that we're taking away all of the things that he does well now because he wouldn't have been that type of player, then he would have been trained to be that type of player back then. So I just don't know that that requires a skill set that he wouldn't have been able to figure out.
Well, he's not dominating. Giannis would not dominate in the 70s. Would he be an all-star? I'm sure he would. But he would not be. He's so skilled now because they've trained him to be skilled now. They allow him to play on the perimeter. They allow him to take three. They would never let that happen. Never. Coaches would never allow that to happen. They just wouldn't because they were stuck, in that time period of this is how you played. You're down on the blocks. You rebound block shots. You get a little jump hook in there or follow-up rebound, whatever it is. But, I mean...
Those are things he couldn't have been trained to do?
He can be trained to do those things. What makes Giannis great now would not be used in the 70s. It wasn't used in the 70s. He would just be a back-to-the-basket big man. They would not say, hey, lead the break. Hey, shoot threes, even though they didn't have threes back then. They'd be like, stay down low. There were a lot of great big men in the 70s because they wanted to have big men in the 70s. You had to have a big man in the 70s. But maybe LeBron's joking a little bit there, but I think the point he's making is let's not compare generations, which I'm all for. I'm all in favor of doing that. But it happens. It happens when J.J. Redick says, yeah, who are they playing against? Plumbers and electricians. Okay, that doesn't help. They played against who they played against. It's not like, man, where is everybody? Nobody's good around here. We get caught up in that. But LeBron had a lot of things to say, a lot of things to get off his chest. The Stephen A. Smith thing, and then, that's going to continue. Stephen A. is going to have things to say. And now all of a sudden Stephen A. is talking about, if LeBron put his hands on him, then Stephen A. is going to take us. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Yes, Mark.
But what I think LeBron was saying was if you drop them off as they are right now, I think that's what LeBron was saying, not if they were trained that way that they were trained in the 70s.
Well, I know, but that's silly to say. Of course they would be dominating. Giannis, they would look at Giannis like, wait a minute. There's a 7-footer who's leading the break here and shooting threes, and what's this?
So that was LeBron's point.
Yeah. Okay. It's not a stretch to say Giannis would be dominating. This Giannis would be dominating in the 70s. That's not a stretch. Luka would be dominating. Shai Gilgeous dominating. I mean, there are thousands of guys who probably would have had a great impact on the NBA. But that's not what if that's what he's talking about, then that's, it's a silly, there's not even a conversation. I was going to say argument. Yes, they would be great. Giannis would be playing differently in the 70s. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yes.
How did I get different positions and, Dr. J might be 4 inches shorter, right? But how did Dr. J manage to do that? He's sort of like the godfather of modern basketball, right?
Well, because he did it in the ABA. And the NBA, it was different. It was far more structured. In the ABA, Dr. J was different than anybody else. But he was a playground legend, and you had him in the open court. So he was a unicorn. Elgin Baylor was a unicorn. There's guys, there weren't enough guys, but there are guys where you go, that guy's just different than everybody else. And Dr. J was different than anybody else. Yeah, Pauline.
And it's comical to think, like, if you're bringing someone back to an era, if you're bringing LeBron back to 1977, you're going to transport him at the height and weight he is now, and he'd be back. If he was playing then, there was no weightlifting whatsoever. He would be 6'8", 225 pounds at the most, and that's how he would have lived and built his life, and they would have put him, like you said, as a small forward or power forward.
But if it's LeBron today, back then, he will dominate.
It seems equally as comical, though, to think that he couldn't figure out how to play in that era.
Well, look at the number of players who didn't play. I mean, I mean, is he going to figure out how to be able to dribble the ball and be able to shoot outside and all those things? Because nobody did that. There's no 3-point line back then. What's he? They would have him inside. They just would. I mean, he would be used differently. Plain and simple. There are a lot of guys who, if you look at them and how they were used, and they probably had so much more talent, but they didn't get to expose that. But you didn't have big men who were on the perimeter shooting jumpers, unless it's Bob Lanier.